You're listening to Get the Balance Right podcast, where you'll learn how to run a successful business and balance it with your busy life. I'm your host, Heather Zeitzwolf, CPA, profit advisor, and money coach. I work with creative entrepreneurs to take the mystery and confusion out of their numbers so they can reach their financial goals. Do you want a life that is emotionally, physically, and monetarily balanced? Are you ready to live a life based on passion, purpose, and financial freedom? Then let's get the balance right. Hello and welcome to another episode of Get the Balance Right podcast. I am your host, Heather Zeitzwolf. On today's show, we are talking about copywriting. To discuss this topic, we are joined by the adorable and smart Cassandra Lee. She is the founder of the Quirky Pineapple Studio, a creative agency which specializes in brand messaging and copywriting. Cassandra and her agency were even featured in an article for Forbes. Cassandra joins us from Spain. However, she serves clients all over the globe. Cassandra is an expert in heartfelt copy, which is the main focus of our discussion today. Heartfelt copy connects with your audience on a more personal level. Not sure what the difference is between copy and not copy? Well, in this interview, we dive into that, along with the ways to make your copy more impactful by connecting successfully with your desired audience. Effective copywriting is a skill that incorporates many areas, including marketing, psychology, research, and linguistics. Now, I admit I've dabbled in copywriting just out of pure necessity. But man, it is hard. Maybe you're like me. You're too cheap to pay somebody. Yeah, we shouldn't do that. So it's best to hire an expert. But on today's show, Cassandra shares some great tips for copywriting. And if you want more, check out the show notes for her freebies, the copywriting checklist, and the content generating machine. Yes. In your business, unless you're hiring someone to create your copy, chances are you're doing it yourself, like me. Or you might be developing part of it and farming out the rest. As an entrepreneur, one of the biggest ways you're probably using copy, whether you wrote it or somebody else did, is in your email marketing. Now, if you're not tapping into the power of email marketing, then you really should be. This is emphasized in the book I've been reading entitled Your Message Matters: How to Rise Above the Noise and Get Paid for What You Do by Jonathan Milligan. The book came out in 2020 and is chock full of solid marketing advice. The power of email marketing is notably discussed in part 3 of the book, Marketing Your Message. Jonathan Milligan warns that building an audience with a social media platform can be dangerous since you're doing this on rented land. You don't want to build up your following on a social media platform where you don't control it. I'm sure you've heard this before. You want to secure your audience by capturing their email. How do we do that? Well, to build your email list, he states you only need to answer 3 key questions. Well, really? They are 1, who do you want to attract? 2, where can you find them? And 3, what tool will you use to attract them? These 3 things are so important, I think we should go through each one of these. Okay. Who do you want to attract? This is your ideal customer, your target market, your avatar, all that jazz. The second one, where do you find your audience? In other words, where do they congregate? Are they like in a Facebook group or something? Are they attending a conference that you could go to? That sort of thing. To find out where they congregate, there are 3 traffic sources that you can find them that are noted in the book. One is free sources, such as search engines and social media, like going to a Facebook group. 2, paid sources, such as paid advertising. 3, partner sources, such as affiliate relationships and guest contributions. The last question you should ask for capturing their email is, what tool will you use to attract them? To have someone give you their email, you must offer them something of value in exchange. The author warns to not fall into the join my newsletter trap. I know on this podcast, we've talked about the power of a newsletter, so you can take it either way. The author states that it's better to offer something for free that the person would be willing to pay for, and in return, they will gladly give up their email address. Okay, to recap, the 3 questions you should ask yourself when building your email list. 1, who do you want to attract? 2, where can you find them? And 3, what tool will you use to attract them? And to recap, the 3 traffic sources that you can find them are 1, free sources, 2, paid sources, 3, partner sources. All right. In regards to list building methods, over the years, Jonathan Milligan, the author, tried many, but found 9 in particular that worked best. Here they are. Now, you might want to get a pen and paper to write these down, as long as you're not driving or mowing the lawn. For the 9 methods for building a list, I'm going to go over each one by one. The first one is to offer a content upgrade. So write that down, content upgrade, such as creating bonus content for your blog posts, podcasts, videos that followers can access if they provide you with their email. However, keep in mind that this approach requires that you make more content. The second one is a contest giveaway, where the person enters their email address in exchange for the chance to win a prize. This may sound expensive, but you can always give away something other than money or big ticket item. Rather than giving away gift cards or tangible prizes, you can give the winner free access to a course you developed. Yeah. The third one is a 5-day challenge. 5-day challenge. Using a multi-day email course. I've been on the receiving end of this many times, and I've never actually tried doing one myself. Have you? The fourth is a free downloadable PDF, such as a mind map or a repurposed blog post. This one seems like the most common approaches that I've seen, those free downloads. The fifth one is a quiz. Oh God, people love quizzes, right? So when you do a quiz online, the way you do it is you collect their email after they've completed the quiz in order to have them see the results. I purchased software to create a quiz, and I've just been sitting on it ever since. Thank you, AppSumo. I've got to try this one out, so expect a quiz from me in the near future. 6 is a webinar where you offer free access. As someone who loves to learn, I get lured into these all the time and give up my email address. What about you? Do you get lured in by webinars? 7 is quite unique, although it's not commonly practiced because it's not a direct list building activity. He'd suggest that you purchase an online course from an influencer and provide them with a testimonial. 8 is to host an online conference such as a virtual summit and include influencers, authors, and speakers who will share the event with their audience. I love this idea, but virtual summits are a lot of work and take a great deal of preparation and time. Just keep that in mind. But the results can be significant for your business. The 9th is an affiliate product launch, where you invite influencers to promote your offer or have them share your free PDF. This to me sounds like it would work well if you were like on somebody else's podcast and you offer them a free PDF on their show. This is pretty neat stuff, right? If you'd like to check out the book, the name of it again is Your Message Matters by Jonathan Milligan, and I've included a link in the show notes. I'm for sure going to be trying out these various methods. Send me a DM if you experiment with these. I'd love to hear about your results, and I'll give you my email address. All right, I have an announcement about the podcast. This is very exciting to me. In a couple of weeks, the focus of Get the Balance Right podcast is shifting. Next week will be our last episode under the current format. I've officially been producing this podcast now for over a year. This is episode 52, folks. And I'm finally getting up the guts to go in the direction that I think will be the most rewarding for both me and my audience. I'm really going to be stepping out of my comfort zone, but I'm super excited about the changes ahead. I'm just putting this out there so I don't chicken out, okay? It's out there. It's in the world. I'm not going to chicken out. I'm doing this. I'm changing the format. It's all going to be good. Yes. And if I can get everything together in time, which I will, I'm promising myself I will, it will include a total rebrand as well. So I'm not giving out any spoiler alerts today as far as the changes go, so be sure to tune in for the unveiling. Yes. All right, but we are in the here and now. So let's move on to today's guest. Here is my discussion about heartfelt copywriting with the talented and quirky Cassandra Lee. Cassandra Lee, welcome to Get the Balance Right podcast.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited to have you on the show. I discovered you from another podcast. When I heard you, I was like, she has got to be on my show. And I tracked you down on LinkedIn. And thank you so much for participating in this. For the people in the audience that don't know you, can you tell a little bit about yourself?
Hello, everyone who's listening. I'm super excited to be here. So just a quick introduction about me. I am going to do 2 intros. The personal one, where you get to know me as a regular old human being. And then I'll get into my professional one. So I am Cassandra. I am originally from Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. I am a Vietnamese American, a first-generation daughter of immigrants, and I love bubble tea. It's actually quite a bad addiction. It got to the point where I would buy one almost weekly, if not twice a week, which is not good for you because that's a lot of sugar. On the professional side, I am the creator and founder of the Quirky Pineapple Studio, a brand strategy and copywriting studio for mission-driven, service-based businesses. I work specifically with people to help them with their brand strategy, brand message, their copywriting, and then their content marketing strategy to make sure that it is sustainable and also bringing in the community that they want to actually attract.
You have a very interesting background. Not only were you born in America, now you're living in Spain. You speak several languages, and you started off as a child blogging.
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I thought that was really fascinating.
Like you said, I am now in Spain. I'll get to that part in a little bit, but I really started writing and creating content at the age of 13. I think that's when internet kind of-ish boomed and blogging became a big thing. And I found mommy bloggers online. And at the age of 13 and reading and following their blogs, I thought, this is what I want to be. A blogger, not a mommy blogger, but a blogger in general. I really remember walking into the kitchen and telling my mom and dad, Mom, Dad, I'm going to be a blogger. And they were like, what the heck is that? And I was like, it's somebody who creates content online and they get paid to create content. They were like, what? And of course, being a Vietnamese American, daughter of immigrants, they were like, what about like a doctor? What about like a lawyer? And I was like, no. I think my realm is blogging, and I never became a full-time blogger, but I have experimented with so many different platforms since that age. Tumblr, MySpace, Xanga, LiveJournal, Blogspot is now Blogger, WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, Weebly, Showit. Through all of that, I really learned that this is what I want to do. I got really great at repurposing content, learning how content best works, how people get really connected to it, how to connect people to your brand and business because of your content, and then launched the Quirky Pineapple Studio in the end of 2017. This is where we get into the Spain part. So I quit my job in 2017 in December. And then 2 weeks later, I moved abroad to Madrid, Spain, because my partner is Spanish. I think I have to give backstory on that. I met him in 2014 when I was teaching abroad in Spain for 2 years and was living my life as a travel blogger, which I didn't really get paid. Came home, realized blogging doesn't pay the same way service-based businesses get paid. For a year and a half, I worked my butt off, really built up my brand, quit my job, and then moved abroad and started my business. That was like a little bit all over the place, but Yeah, that's the whole background.
I find it fascinating, people's journey. I looked on your LinkedIn page and it looks like you have a bachelor's in hospitality, and your travel blog also had the Quirky Pineapple. And I wanted to ask you, the name Quirky Pineapple, I know pineapple in some cultures means like hospitality or giving or welcoming or something like that. Is that kind of where the name came from?
Yes, I studied hospitality management and then got minors in general business and sociology. I realized that working in the hospitality industry means that you sell your soul to hotels. And while all of my friends got corporate awesome jobs being managers and banquet event managers in like the Four Seasons, Hilton, and all of that stuff, they also woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and then didn't come home until 10 p.m. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is not the life that I want. I moved abroad. That's when I decided that I wanted to travel instead and learn another language. I wanted to really experience the world. Went to Spain, and the blog was born then, my last year in college, as the Quirky Pineapple, because the pineapple, yes, is a symbol of hospitality. So I still love hospitality, even though I don't necessarily work specifically in the industry. The quirky part was really to describe my personality. I asked my parents and my sisters like some adjectives. My sisters are great. They told me bossy. The bossy pineapple doesn't quite have the same ring to it. So I went with quirky instead, and it just stuck.
That is so fun. I know when I was trying to figure out business names, coconut was one of the things that came up because I'm a nut.
I love that.
But accounting and coconuts don't really go together. But I don't know, maybe I could make that work someday. Okay, we're going to be talking about copywriting today and making copywriting more heartfelt. But for the people that don't really understand, like, what's the difference between copy, content, maybe journalism? Where does that sort of cover in all of these things?
Before diving into copywriting, I do want to say copyright with an R is the legal stuff. That's what you need a lawyer for. I do not do that. Copyright, WRITE, is what I do. So copywriting is actually when you use words and psychology to guide your audience to take action. For example, let's say you subscribe to Target's or whomever's online shopping email. And in the email, it says something like, we have a new offer. If you're interested, click here to check out the product. That is copywriting because that actually guides you to press that button to go to view that product and then potentially buy it, or at least think about buying it. Content is honestly anything that you see online. There's digital content, there's regular content. TV is content. Movies are content. This podcast is a content. Any emails that you subscribe to where somebody actually like talks to you in the email is content. Or if not, if it's a sales email, like for any online e-commerce store, that's content. So content is really what you use to nurture your audience and get them to know, like, and trust you. You definitely want to use copy after you nurture them to guide them to do something, whether that's subscribe to this podcast or subscribe to your email or make a purchase or maybe just send you an email. That's going to be the copy side. The content side is just all of this great stuff that you get online or anywhere else.
Copy, it seems more bent around marketing and advertising.
Yes. Content is really used to educate your audience because content is for nurturing, right? If somebody comes to the Quirky Pineapple Studio and they don't know anything about me, they probably will find this podcast. And this is content that will introduce them to me and my brand. And then maybe if we hit it off, hey, y'all, then they'll follow me on Instagram or they'll find me on LinkedIn. As they consume more of my content, which is educational or even just funny or entertaining, then maybe they'll realize, hey, I actually think I need something from the Quirky Pineapple. I think the Quirky Pineapple can actually help me. That's where I would be using copy and it may be a mix, copy and content, to guide them to potentially book a call with me or to purchase something else.
Okay, we got that all cleared up. Thank you so much for indulging me. So let's get into the topic today. We're going to talk about making copy more heartfelt. If you're doing copy that's heartfelt, are you coming from a place that seems more personalized rather than searchable, or do you have to encompass both of these things?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say coming from both. We still want copy to be searchable. That would be awesome. but we definitely want it to be more personal. We don't want to just write things to sell all the time because that ends up just being too salesy, and it kind of overlooks the fact that you're actually selling to a human. Having heartfelt copy really takes into account the goals, the ideas, the vision that your ideal clients have and what they want, instead of just thinking about it from your own perspective of, I need to sell 5 bananas today. Now, it sounds a little bit trivial, right? Especially for 5 bananas. But if we were approaching copywriting that is heartfelt, it would just be, buy these 5 bananas. They're going to go bad. I need to sell them. These bananas are like the best thing ever. They're going to be delicious for breakfast. That doesn't really take into account why somebody wants a banana, what they do with bananas. We know we eat them, but what are they going to actually use them for? And this kind of takes it one step further and thinks about it in the terms of, let's say, quarantine. And I swear everybody was making banana bread during quarantine. So this is kind of where, if we want to do heartfelt copywriting, it's now thinking, hey, I know you saw a new banana bread recipe online, and I've got these 5 bananas. They are in the perfect condition to make that perfect banana bread. What if you do it and try something new for another quarantine weekend? Now, you get into, okay, this sounds a lot more approachable than what I was saying before. Buy these 5 bananas. You want it. This is really taking into account, okay, yeah, they want to try something new. They're bored at home. They want to try a new recipe. I've got 5 bananas. Why not use these bananas to make banana bread?
It's really like you're getting in the head of whoever it is that this copy is supposed to be for. If you're creating copy, I know people talk about like creating the perfect avatar. Do you think about an avatar when you're creating this heartfelt copy?
Yes, I think avatars are great. And I kind of want to maybe touch on the fact about how normal marketing or like previous marketing would focus on avatars. A lot of it was like, what is your age? What is your gender? What is your household income? Where do you live? What brands do you like? Which is all great information to know. I'm not going to say that it doesn't help, but that is what I call basic census information. And it doesn't really help you get into the person's head, not in a bad way, but like really understand them from, hey, I really am here to provide something to help you. Yes, we want to think about avatars, knowing their age, their gender, how much money they make is awesome, but maybe taking it a step further, what are their goals? What do they want out of this? What are they going to do with the thing that you are providing? And then from there, how does that actually make their life better? If we go back to the banana example, the bananas can give them some activity to do for the weekend, but maybe it actually helps them do something fun with their family because everybody's really bored at home and they don't know what to do, or with their roommates. Or maybe they just have a nice moment where they're not glued to Zoom screen all the time and they get to disconnect and just do something else.
Hey there, this is Heather. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. And if you are, if you wouldn't mind, please hit the subscribe button now. That way you'll never miss an episode. All right, now back to the podcast. When you create copy, what is your techniques? How do you do this? Because when I sit down to write copy, I try to just do it from my perspective, but I'm not a marketer. How do you twist and move it so that it actually works?
I actually tell this a lot to my clients or anybody that I work with. Writing copy from your perspective is great, but I don't think it will actually fully connect because it's coming from you and it's coming from an ego-based and a selfish base, even if you don't want it to, because it's coming from, oh, I need it to do this for me. But if we flip it, the perspective or the angle that it's going to come from is going to be, what can I do for them? And if that's the way that you want to write copy, really, there's no right or wrong way because both technically work, quote unquote. But it would require talking to a lot of people and getting on conversations and doing heavy market research, which a lot of people like don't want to do. But even if you have 2 clients that you can really sit down and talk to, and they've worked with you time and time again, those people will probably give you the best market research that you will need to write copy that really is heartfelt and connects with other people who are like them.
When you work with your clients, do you actually talk with some of their clients? How do you understand that perspective?
I do not talk to their clients usually, mostly because they should have the research done, at least for me, before I come in. If somebody wants to work with me, then they should have at least a base of data, analytics, maybe interviews or something that I can pull from. Because if you want me to do it, that's going to cost more for me to do the research.
That makes sense. Besides figuring out the goals and doing market research, what are some other strategies that people can put in place for copywriting to make it more heartfelt?
One thing that you can do is if you have content and if you're already creating content, you can probably peruse through the comments that come in, or maybe if somebody sends you an email, you can see how they phrase things. Well, let's say for this podcast, somebody writes a review and they're like, oh my gosh, this podcast is the best. It's given me so much information on XYZ and has helped me do blah, blah, blah. That is great information right there that you didn't even really need to ask for. And what you can do is take those comments and put them into a document and field through them to see, okay, this one applies to me, this one doesn't. And then you can use that in your copy because you're basically using the words that your clients have said or your audience has said to you back to them. So that makes like instant connection. If you speak my language, it's easier for me to connect to you.
As far as the sales funnel goes, where would you say copywriting is within the sales funnel? Is that a goofy question, or is that something that people should think about?
Not a goofy question, but I think the answer is probably not going to be the answer that most people are looking for. It's not going to be like, oh, you need to put copy in email 5 of sequence 1. I can't tell you that. Copy actually needs to be built into the entire sales funnel, because if somebody isn't in the sales funnel, they need to move lower in the sales funnel to actually make the purchase. The way to guide them to move through the sales funnel is copy and content. It's a mix of both. And you can actually put copy into your content. A lot of the times, most people don't realize that there is copy and content.
And are there tools that you use to figure out, is the copy going to land for the particular audience? Do you try like an A/B test, or how do you know that copy is actually working? How do you gauge these things?
A/B testing for sure. Marketing is all about testing. Lots of testing in general. We also look at conversion rates, whether somebody actually purchases, how many people open an email, how many people actually comment on something, and not just comment, but maybe how many people go and click on your website after that specific post. Or if you posted one LinkedIn post and all of a sudden you didn't really have a call to action to reach out to you, maybe you just had a call to action to comment below. Next thing you know, because that post was so great, 5 people sent you a DM saying, hey, this post really resonated with me. Can you share more about what you do? I'd love to get on a call with you. Maybe they're not going to actually purchase, but that actually took people to talk to you, not just in comment form, but let's have a real conversation. And that's where you can gauge if copy is working or not.
And I've heard that sometimes copy is a matter of just changing a few words around and then suddenly it clicks for people.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Very, very true. Yeah, because a lot of copy actually involves psychology and the way information is presented for people. For example, like a quick tip for everybody is, instead of beginning with something like how to do blah, blah, blah on a sales page, for example, maybe just say get 5 clients besides saying how to get 5 clients, because now the get is the verb, and that really create that initiative for people because it's an action. And they're already thinking, cool, I'm going to get 5 clients, besides thinking, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to learn how to get 5 clients, but I need to learn this entire process, even though you are potentially selling the process.
You also have some resources on your website to actually help people with copy. So one of them is the content generator. What is that about that you offer?
So the content generating machine, I love this freebie. It was in my mind supposed to be like an actual machine where you take your ideas, you put it into this content generating machine, and then out pops a piece of content. Of course, like you actually have to create the content. I can't do it for you, but it helps you brainstorm ideas that will connect with your audience, and then helps you to repurpose it. So that idea or that piece of content isn't just one piece of content. You can now create it into 5 to 10 pieces of content instead of just having one, which is awesome because now you don't have to work so hard.
That's a freebie on your website?
Yeah.
Wow, because I know there's different software out there that it's like this AI copywriting type stuff. This is really cool. Okay, I'll have a link for that in the show notes. And then you also have this other one. It's a website copywriting checklist. Tell me about that one.
So this one is one that we just released, and I got a lot of questions from people who want to DIY their website copy because not everybody can actually hire a copywriter, which is fair. And I actually do recommend DIYing your website copy first before working with a copywriter, unless you've been in business for a while. This website copywriting checklist is exactly what it is. It basically helps you plan out all of the pages in your website, all of the main ones. So home, about, services, portfolio, contact. And then it gives you a little checklist on what definitely needs to be included and like where to format things so that it has highest conversion and also user experience involved.
Wow, very cool. We mentioned that you live in Spain. Being that we have the internet, do you work with people all over the world? Who's your sort of target? What is your niche? Tell me about this.
Yeah, I do work with people all over the world. I'm really proud of having clients who are not just international, but they're also global and they speak more languages than I do. So I work with clients in the United States, in Canada, in the UK, in Guam, in Japan, in Colombia, Mexico, Spain, France, Portugal, Germany, all of those areas. It's a great mix. And I think the Quirky Pineapple Studio community is really awesome because they're all international. There are people who have moved abroad. They could be from Colombia, but they're living in Germany, for example. They could be from Italy. They're living in France. It's a fun international group. And they're mostly service providers. They offer an online service or even like an in-person service, whether that's wedding planning, event planning, or photography.
What are the exact services that you provide? Do you have a package deal or do you work with people like on projects, or how exactly do you offer your services?
Yeah, the Quirky Pineapple Studio actually has two branches to our business. So we have one-to-one services. On the one-to-one services side, people can book us for a VIP day where we go through like all of your brand messaging to make sure that it's all consistent and concise. And then you get an entire brand message book at the end. Or you can hire us to write your entire website, which is awesome. And then we also have content creation and management, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. We can help you stay consistent with content to actually bring in your community. So that's the one-on-one. And then we also have the education side. So on the education side is where you can find bundles, courses, little digital products that help you just do it yourself if you want to just take a stab at it on your own.
Oh, very nice. Is this an ongoing community or is this like you sign up for a course? How does that work?
The courses are always there. It's just a bundle that you can purchase on your own and go through on your own time. And then I am launching a new membership called Business Without the Butts with a friend who is another fellow copywriter. That one is ongoing support in a group. And you get business and marketing tips, advice, and revisions and all of that stuff. And then if you don't want that, then the bundles are there or the digital products are there for you to just purchase and go through whenever you want.
Very nice. We'll have links to everything in the show notes. Thank you so much, Cassandra. It's been great having you on the show.
Thanks, Heather. It was so fun. You asked great questions. I'm like, wow.
Hey, this is Heather. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you found value in the show, I'd really appreciate it if you gave me a rating on iTunes, or just simply tell a friend about it. And if you're interested in learning more about my profit advising and coaching, please set up a discovery call by using the link in the show notes. All right, thanks so much and see you next time.